So I'm going to start with introducing myself. My name is Sharon Chamoma, and I am a host and programs officer at Dada Digital. And today I'm going to have a conversation with you, Faith, so that you can let us know more about yourself and your entity. And of course, we're going to touch a little on Missions of Hope Canada. And that's the reason why we're having this conversation in the first place. So maybe if you could introduce yourself and just introduce yourself and tell us a little about you and what you do.
Thank you, Sharon. I've been looking forward to this opportunity to just share with you. So my name is Faith Gor, but many people know me as Teacher Faith. I have an online service with Learn and Grow, where we develop children's content that promotes Christian values. I'm also an author at The Weight She Carries. The Weight She Carries is a website that tells stories of women and how they have overcome the challenges they go through. So there I share my story of sexual abuse to offer hope, help, and healing to other sexual abuse survivors.
All right. Okay. So just let us start with knowing you as a person first. Yeah. So just maybe if you could tell me about your childhood. How did you grow up? How was it like? And how did you stumble upon starting an entity like Learn and Grow, and even becoming an author? Because I believe you are young and you have done so much, and you're making very, very huge strides in in the learning space for women and children. So tell me about how you grew up and how your experience was like.
Oh, sure. I am a daughter. My parents, both of my parents are alive, and I'm a sister to 5 brothers. I'm the youngest, and then I'm also an aunt to 4 nephews and 6 nieces. Yeah, so they're 10. Yeah. So I grew up with boys. So I grew up as a tomboy. Yeah, and I loved going to church so much because I loved the mission stories. In our church, we learned mission stories, rather, we learned mission stories of people who have devoted their lives to serve communities, and they share how God has brought them through very difficult experiences. So growing up, I grew up wanting to become a missionary. But because it's not fashionable to be a missionary, or it's not fashionable to be a Christian per se, and even publicly say that you're a Christian, I hid that dream. And every time I would say I want to be an air hostess. And actually, I was trained as an airline cabin crew. Yeah, immediately after my high school. And so actually, okay, people don't know this, but I went to school with you. Yeah, and so I never really believed in myself. I grew up hating myself so much because I went through sexual abuse when I was 5, when I was 10, when I was 12. So that brought a lot of shame to me and in my life. I hated myself so much, and I never saw anything good in me. And at some point, my parents separated. So that even made life so confusing. And I didn't know how to view God in all this. I felt like a black sheep. Again, I felt alone because I never had anyone talk about these experiences. Then going to high school, my mommy got an accident when I was in Form 2. I was 14 then. So that invited me into the world of caregiving. So I have been a caregiver for the past 14 years. In June, it will be 15 years. Yeah. So I have just grown up. Life has thrown in difficult things since my childhood, and that has really made me grow. You just grow. You just have to grow. You just have to find your way of coping. And I thank God that in my young adulthood, He brought me to meet with people who helped me know that I'm not what happened to me, and that yes, I am lovable, and yes, I have talents and gifts that I can use to serve people. And I never really liked children. I think it's because of my childhood experience.
Mm.
I think it's because of my childhood experience. Let me just share this with you. So I used to, but this is something funny. I never liked children per se, but I liked being in their company.
Okay.
Right now, I understand it's because the child in me got wounded when they were still younger. And so I never got to enjoy my childhood that much. And so I grew up with the urge and the desire to protect children. I don't want to see children getting hurt. So I remember there's this lady in church who noticed that I liked being in the children's class. And one time she gave me a book to teach children coming next week. But you know what, Sharon? I disappeared for a month.
Well, what happened? What happened?
I told her I cannot teach children.
It was a fear.
But she insisted and said, but you have been teaching them. You
Okay.
see, the problem here was her telling me to teach. So she was confirming that there's something good in me. And here I am hating myself.
Okay, and before we continue with that story, I know
Yeah.
that especially in our country, in Africa, in our continent and in our country, Kenya, it's very hard enough. Circumstances are hard for a majority of us. And when you're a teenager, your body is changing, your hormones, especially being a girl. How did you not commit suicide? How did you not resort to using drugs? How did you not resort to sexual promiscuity? The other easier options or the ways out that are readily available, especially if you grow up poor, especially if you grow up in wanting circumstances. How did you not resort to those other, avenues that would have probably destroyed your life? We wouldn't be having this conversation now. How did you survive it as a teenager?
Oh, that's a good question. So, what actually helped my teenagehood is my mom's accident.
Okay.
I was busy as a caregiver
Mhm.
that I didn't have room and space for things. I didn't have room and space to explore things. But my addictions were different.
Okay.
I overworked.
Mhm.
I overworked. I wanted to be the ideal person. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be accepted. And I now for suicide, what kept me from committing suicide? It's this. There's a time I remember there's a teacher who said that if you ever dare try to commit suicide, he was talking about taxes and saying that in our government, if you try to commit suicide and you're caught, you'll be taken to jail because you're trying to evade paying tax. So because I had attempted I had attempted suicide,
Uh-huh.
say 3 times.
What? What did you just say? Sorry, I missed it.
I had attempted suicide 3 times. The first time I tried taking my mom's medication, I threw up. It
Yeah.
didn't taste nice. Second time I tried crossing the road carelessly. The driver swerved and I wasn't knocked. The third time I attempted to commit suicide, a guest came into the house and they sat down and they didn't leave.
Okay. No.
Because I wanted to take dawa, I wanted to take medicine, and then I had somebody knock at the door. When I opened the door, I went and threw away the medicine, and then the guest came in and they sat down, and they didn't leave for a while.
That's
So
that's
I gave up on committing suicide,
so
but I went into self harm.
okay.
That is, I would deny myself food.
Mhm.
I would expose myself into dangerous places. So like what is dangerous now to me was not dangerous
Okay.
because my mind interpreted that if I was defiled by people whom I knew and trusted, if I was defiled during the day, then what can't I face in life?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started living a very risky life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that those are the experiences that led you to do the work that you do right now, especially with of course, your story made you write a book. And does it also connect to learn and grow? How did you come to the point where you started doing that work?
Yeah, I could actually say they're connected. I usually live with one mantra that um your calling comes from your pain. In this sense, God uses our deepest pain to launch our greatest calling. Because you see, what you're going through, in whatever you're going through, there's a way out of it. And your way out could be what somebody else is waiting for so that they can get their way out.
Okay.
So for me, yes, because you see, Sharon, I suffered so much believing that God was harsh and was judging me every moment. I believe that God permitted that I get abused sexually, but that's not the truth.
Okay.
So because I know that was not the truth, now I take it upon myself to educate children on how to either they may not really prevent being sexually abused, but how they can heal from it. From there going forward, how can they find help? Does God care for them? So I teach them to know God for themselves, and I also in turn like empower parents to be friends with their children, so that when such things happen to them, they can easily open up to them and they can find help.
All right, because part of the problem is that who do I tell? Do you face that? Who do I tell and they believe me? And maybe
Yes.
it's your fault because as a child you interpret it as maybe nini, like you thought it was your fault and you are the reason why. Because in our patriarchal society and the femicides that have been happening, especially in our country in the recent weeks, you even Akina Shafi were fired because they say, why would you as a woman put yourself in that situation? No. What happens if this is someone who is in my house, someone who I trust? Do you
Yes.
feel like that? Do you feel like that's one aspect of your work that you're really trying to put across to parents to be available to their children?
Yes, that's part of it. Like they really need to know that danger lies under their noses. Yeah. And to just believe their children.
Mm,
Belief is all that child needs. And
yes.
from there, they can trust again.
All right. And actually the perpetrators know that huyu mtoto nikimfanyia hivi anaogopa mama yake, so probably hataenda, ama mamake anaonanga huyu mtoto ni kichwa ngumu sana. Hata, like if you've spoken to some people, you realize that that's part of the problem, that I couldn't go to mommy, and the perpetrator knew that mom neglects me, that mom doesn't believe me, or mom sees me a certain way, or dad sees me a certain way, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, perpetrators identify needy children who have busy parents.
Mm,
Because, as a needy child, you will see somebody who's gentle and you will love them. As a child, children are innocent.
yes.
Yeah, you will love and believe them. Yeah. And then, of course, the threats. Of course, the threats can come in two ways. Number one, they warn you, if you dare say, I will kill you, or this is what will happen to your family member. The second threat is when they give you gifts.
Mm,
So you see, in my case, the first time I was abused sexually, I was given money. So it was confusing because this is a nice person. But what they did to me is harmful. So that's where the confusion comes in. So here we educate children and parents to always question why are your children having extravagant gifts? Where did they get money from? Who gave them money? Why did they give them money? And children as well need to learn, why are you giving me this? Does my mommy know about this? So I also empower children to speak up for themselves, because you see, again, in our society, children are not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to ask questions. So if a child cannot ask questions at home, exactly, if I cannot
yeah.
yeah, if I cannot ask my daddy a question, like, Daddy, why this? Or Mommy, why this? If we not allow children to ask us questions, they will not ask other people questions, and that's how they'll be defiled out there and be manipulated.
All right. Thank you so much, Faith, for your work that you do at Learn and Grow. Now, I want us to delve into Missions of Hope Canada. Tell us about that and what kind of work they do, and about what kind of work they do, and how you came to know them and be part of them.
Oh, thank you. So Missions of Hope Canada is an organization that was initiated many years ago. I can't really remember which year exactly. But what they do, these are women who raise funds, and once in a year they identify a community that needs to be solved economically and spiritually. And so they take 1 week. So they identify a month after they've identified the community and identify their needs. They take 1 week off where they take these families to a retreat. So, like if there are 20 families, they take them together. They take them to a place, like a vacation for a week. So these people just shower and eat and wait to be served. So they serve them food, they pay for their accommodation, and they empower them emotionally, spiritually, and also how they can have financial stability. So they do that every year.
Okay, so as they are in
They
the,
do that.
all right, sorry, as why would they take that angle as opposed to, the regular, way of teaching? Why would they take that angle of taking people away for a retreat?
They do that mostly because we know that sometimes our environment affects us. So if you're taken away from your daily struggles for a few days, and you're cared for, your basics are cared for, you're eating well, you're sleeping well, then somehow your mind opens up to, when you're loved well, your mind opens up to soaring higher than where you are. So you stop surviving and you begin thriving.
Okay. Understood. So, how did you get involved with them? How did you come across them?
So one of their associates saw my Facebook page,
Mhm.
and so she reached out to me, and her name is Valinda. She reached out to me, and she asked me if I could serve their children in their church. So I did, and after that, she came back to me, and she was like, we are organizing our first online international conference. Would like to extend it globally, and we want you to be our representative in Kenya. I want you to be part of us."
Okay.
Yes, and so I answered to the call, and that's how I ended up being yeah, that's how you ended up seeing me in the poster. So what they're doing for Kenya is they also asked me to identify a group that they can show some love in this season. And because I'm a caregiver, I also am a member of a caregiving initiative called the African Caregiver Initiative, where we empower caregivers to thrive in their service. Because caregiving is crazy.
Okay. And
Caregiving is crazy, and it's
you know it from personal experience, right?
sorry,
I'm saying you know that because you experienced it at a personal level.
yes, I do. So I know how it can really break you and how you can rise out of it. So we offer support to caregivers, and this year, in partnership with the Missions of Hope, we reached out to a few caregivers to just show them love and to remind them that their labor is not in vain, and that we care, that they care.
Okay, so wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. You're soaring higher and higher as the days go by. Now, what do we expect as women listeners from this conference, even if we are not direct beneficiaries of whatever they'll be giving whatever they'll be giving, what should women aspire to as the conference is coming up?
This is what every woman should look forward to. Be ready to unlock your potential.
Okay.
Here, this what this means is you'll be able to be guided to know who you are. You'll be challenged to identify the gifts and talents that you have in you. You'll be challenged to rise above your pain and go out and lift up another woman.
All right.
Yes.
And is it free to attend? How can someone find them? And how can someone, make sure they don't miss the conference? And for how long will it be going for?
Oh, that's a good question. So the conference will be running from 22nd, 23rd, and 24th April 2021. I'll share the poster with you, then you can share with them. And yes, it's free to attend because the conference will be aired on Missions of Hope YouTube channel and Facebook as well, the Facebook page. Yeah, so you can follow live on YouTube or on Facebook. If you miss out because of time differences, then you can always find it on YouTube, so you can always come back and watch it. Yes,
All right.
and the speakers are women all over the world. Yeah.
All right. Will you be speaking? Will you be part of the, speaking committee or a commentary panel?
Yes, I'll be sharing on 24th. I'll be sharing on 24th, 6 p.m. Kenyan time, East African time. Yeah, I'll be speaking then. Yeah, so you can tune in and just listen.
Yeah, of course we will let our followers know that even as Dada Digital we support such initiatives. So as we just draw to a close, tell us where we can find you online and how we can support your work going forward.
Thank you. Learn and Grow is actually celebrating 1 year of online service.
Yay!
Officially on 17th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Officially on 17th, Saturday, 17th April at 6 p.m. East African time. And I'll just be sharing my journey, yeah, with you guys. Also, you can follow that on my YouTube channel. That is Teacher Faith, at Teacher Faith. Yes, and please subscribe because we'll be having new videos coming up weekly, and these are educative videos not only for children but you too can learn. Yeah, and please remember to share this with the children in your circle, because you never know which message will change their lives. Yeah, there's enough pressure out here to make us feel unworthy. So what I do, I just share God's word to offer hope and empower my viewers. You can also find me on Facebook as Teacher Faith. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Be sure to follow her content and share with anyone who has children so that they may gain in one way or another. Like she has said, you never know what to change a child and what to inspire a child. And just give us a parting shot in line with your mantra, which is on your website, which says, "Be the teacher you needed when you were younger." Just a parting shot for everyone.
So each one of us have a past from our childhood, and you either missed a teacher, you either missed a guide, you either missed a parent, you missed someone growing up, and it's easy to complain about it, but I'd like to challenge you to be you needed when you were younger. Again, as our tagline goes, what you water grows. Identify something in your life today that you would want to grow, and water it every day, because what you water grows. You can only harvest from a tree that you have planted and watered.
All right. Thank you so much, Faith. Of course, it's usually very, very, very pleasant to talk to you and have time to just, look back and learn from you, because even as I'm sitting here and conducting this interview, I'm learning from you. And to all our viewers, we are at Dada Digital News across all social media. Check out our website at dadadigital.co.ke and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Loads of good stuff coming up for you to watch as entertainment and to watch in order for you to learn and grow. And so till next time, I was your host. My name is Sheila. Bye bye. And Faith, maybe you can tell your people bye bye now.
Bye. Thank you. Keep it safe.
All right, bye.